I have always been a girl who knows how to love herself. My name is Lily, and at the age of 22, I have discovered how to enjoy my own company in ways that most people would be ashamed to even think about. I don't always need a man to feel good, although I'm not going to lie, I've tried. I've experienced it. And some of those moments with boys were incredible. The raw electric emotion of a new caress. The searing heat of a first kiss, the way a man's hands could speed up my heart until it felt like a hummingbird's wings. Everything was exciting, but deep down, I always knew that I could take care of myself perfectly. In the sanctuary of my own room, I lit candles, put on soft, dreamy music, and got lost in my own world. Feeling every sensation, every chill, like a precious secret that only I could unveil. That was my routine, my little escape, and I loved it. That day, however, everything changed. It was a warm, hazy Saturday afternoon in June of 2025. It's a kind of day in which the sun poured in through my window, dyeing my room in a thick, golden light. My parents had gone out for the weekend, a last-minute romantic getaway, and they had left me alone in our big, quiet house. Well, almost alone. My stepbrother John was around somewhere, and he was about to become the center of a story I never, ever saw coming. This is a story about a locked door that wasn't a secret that was never meant to be seen. And a line that once crossed could never be UNDR. It's about discovering that the one person you've known for years, the one person who was supposed to be off limits, might be the only one who truly understands you. Before we dive into this forbidden territory, I want to invite you to join our community. If you believe that love and desire can be found in the most unexpected places, please show your support by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and clicking that notification bell. Your opinion is so important, so please comment below and let us know what you think. Now come with me, because today's story is unmissable. John had moved in with us 3 years ago, and my mother married his father. He was 25 now, tall with a perpetually disheveled mop of chestnut hair, dark green eyes that always seemed to be holding back a secret smile, and a laugh that could make anyone in the room laugh along with him. We always got along well. We were a team. We joked. We watched terrible horror movies. We just had a good time. He was like a friend, a brother. But sometimes I was surprised to notice how his t-shirt strained across his broad shoulders, or how the low, rumbling sound of his laugh stirred something deep in my stomach. I would always push those thoughts aside, feeling a hot flush of shame. He was family, more or less, and I shouldn't be thinking of him like that. That afternoon, I was in my room feeling restless. The heat of the day made my skin tingle, and I decided that it was the perfect time to enjoy my little ritual. I went to my door and closed it, turning the lock until I heard the soft click, or so I thought. I dimmed the lights and lit a lavender-scented candle on my nightstand. This sweet, calming scent filled the air, relaxing me and exciting me at the same time. I took off my short denim shorts and the striped t-shirt I was wearing, leaving only my soft cotton panties, and I lay down on the cool sheets of my bed. My favorite playlist, full of slow, dreamy, atmospheric songs, played softly in my headphones. Creating the perfect atmosphere, I closed my eyes, letting my hands wander, feeling the warmth of my own skin, the steady rhythmic rise and fall of my breathing. It was my moment, my intimate joy, and I sank into it, letting each touch, each caress create that sweet and familiar building emotion. My heart accelerated, my body trembled, and I lost myself completely in the sensation, entirely unconscious of the world that surrounded me. And then I heard it. A soft crunch, the sound of a door creaking open. I opened my eyes suddenly, my body going rigid with shock and adrenaline. And there he was, John, standing in the doorway of my room, his eyes as wide as plates, his mouth slightly agape. My heart didn't just stop. It felt like it had been violently ripped from my chest. I scrambled to cover myself with a thin summer blanket, my face burning with a shame so intense it felt like a physical blow. My headphones came flying out of my ears as I tried to incorporate myself to sit up to hide. John. I shouted, my voice a sharp, trembling, unrecognizable thing. What are you doing? Get out of here. Get out. But he didn't move. He just stood there, his eyes fixed on me. His expression a tangled mixture of utter surprise and something else, something I could not decipher. He had his hands tucked into the pockets of his jeans, and he shifted his posture. A look on his face that was almost nervous. Lily, he said, his voice low and firm, cutting through my panicked haze. I called your name. You didn't hear me. The door. It wasn't locked. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. I felt the hot tears of humiliation pricking at the back of my eyes, and I clung to the blanket harder, my mind accelerating into a chaotic spin. How long had he been standing there? How much had he seen? He had seen me so exposed, so trapped in my own private world. You shouldn't be here. I babbled, trying to sound angry, but my voice just trembled. Go. Just go. Okay. Instead of leaving, John took a step closer into the room, and I was suddenly out of breath. Lily, wait, he said, raising a hand as if to call him a frightened animal. I'm sorry. I really am. I feel like I just entered by accident. I was just coming to ask if you wanted to order a pizza for dinner. He paused, his eyes running over me, over the rumpled blanket, over the single candle still flickering on my nightstand. And then he said something I never ever expected. Something that changed the entire landscape of the moment. Why are you doing this alone? He asked, his voice a soft, almost gentle murmur. If I'm here, I could do it better, you know? I was left with my mouth open, completely stunned. I just looked at him, my mind refusing to process his words. What? I whispered, barely able to pronounce the single word. My heart was beating so fast, so hard, I thought it was going to explode. He couldn't possibly be saying what I thought he was saying. He was my stepbrother. This was wrong, it was crazy, it was impossible. But the way he was looking at me, his gaze soft, intense, almost hungry. It stirred my stomach in an unexpected, terrifying, and exhilarating way. A part of me, the rational, sane part, wanted to scream at him, to tell him to get out, to lock the door behind him. But another part, a quieter, more curious, and more honest part, wondered what he meant by better. John? I said, my voice trembling. You can't say those things. We're family. This isn't right. He took another step, close enough now that I could smell the faint, familiar aroma of his cologne. A woody, warm, family scent. We're not of the same blood, Lily, he said, his voice a low, intimate vibration that seemed to travel straight through me. And I'm not blind. I've seen how you look at me sometimes. I felt it too. How we laugh, how we talk, how you smile. I've been wanting to tell you something for months, but I didn't know how. And now, seeing you like this, I can't pretend anymore. I could make you feel so much better than you do when you're alone. My breath was cut off. I should have been angry. I should have been disgusted. I should have put him in his place. But his words, instead of repelling me, awoke a dormant spark deep inside me. I thought about all the times I had been surprised by my own thoughts, looking at him a little too long when he came out of the shower. A towel slung low around his waist, water dripping down the hard lines of his chest. Or the times when we fought playfully over the TV remote, his hands brushing against mine, causing small electric bumps to rise on my skin. I had always buried those feelings deep, telling myself that they were wrong, that they were just a weird fluke. But now, with him standing there looking at me as if I were the only thing in the world, those feelings came rushing back, stronger and more undeniable than ever. I swallowed with difficulty, my hand still clutching the thin blanket like a shield. John, I don't know. I said, my voice barely a whisper. This is crazy. What if someone finds out? What if we regret this? He knelt down next to the bed, his eyes now level with mine, and I saw something in them that took my breath away. It wasn't just lust. It was affection, was desire. It was, a promise. "Nobody has to know, Lily," he said, his voice soft and reassuring. "And I will never regret making new. You feel good. You are beautiful and smart and incredible. I've been wanting this for so long. Just let me show you. Let me take care of you." My heart accelerated, completely divided between a lifetime of fear and a single moment of wild, reckless desire. I had always been good at taking care of myself. But the idea of him, his hands, his touch, his heat, made my body vibrate with a new, unfamiliar excitement. I thought of the boys I had been with before, the fun, the excitement. But this was different. This was John. Someone I knew, someone I trusted. Someone I laughed with every single day. Could I really do this? I looked at his face, searching for a single reason to say no, but all I saw was him. Kind, strong, and waiting patiently for me. "Okay," I whispered, almost without believing the word that had just come out of my own lips. "Teach me." His face lit up. A soft, slow, triumphant smile was drawn on his face, and he took my hand. I let go of the blanket a little, my heart beating hard while his fingers brushed against mine, warm and soft. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice a gentle murmur, giving me one last chance to withdraw, to retreat back to safety. I sat up, my breath cut in half, I'm sure. He stood up. I got up with him, and I felt the cool air of the room against my skin when the blanket finally fell away. I stood there in just my panties, feeling vulnerable but intensely, exhilaratingly alive, my pulse accelerating with every passing second. John's gaze touched me, not in a way that made me feel shy or ashamed, but in a way that made me feel seen, desired. "You are so beautiful, Lily," he murmured, his voice thick as he approached me. His hands found my way strong and firm, and he lifted me effortlessly, as if I weighed nothing at all. I gave in completely. My arms wrapping around his neck as he carried me the few steps to the bed, lying me down softly on the sheets. He leaned over me, his warm breath caressing my cheek, and I felt a deep, profound chill run through my entire body. "I'll go slowly," he whispered. "I'll make this feel so good for you." His fingers gently pulled my hair back from my face, and then he kissed me. It was soft at first, tentative, as if he were feeling the ground, tasting the moment. His lips were warm with a slight mint flavor from the gum he was always chewing. And I melted into him, kissing him back with a need that surprised me. The kiss deepened, becoming hungry and electric, and I felt my body respond with a will of its own, my hands sliding into his thick hair, bringing him closer. He turned away just to look at me, his green eyes darkened with desire. "I'm going to undress you now, okay?" he said in a low, harsh voice. I just nodded, my breathing quick and superficial. His hands moved towards my panties, sliding them down my legs slowly, carefully, as if he were unfolding something precious. I trembled, not from the cold, but from the searing heat that was growing deep inside me, from the pure, unadulterated anticipation. He pulled the fabric away, and his hands returned to my skin, running over my thighs, my hips, my belly. Every touch was soft, deliberate, and better than anything I had ever done alone. "John," I whispered, my voice trembling. "This feels different." He smiled, leaning over to kiss my forehead. "Very different, Hope," he said, and I sank into the pillows without finding the words to respond. His hands explored me, strong and safe, and I felt a warmth, a deep emotional connection that I had never experienced before. It was not just the touch, it was him. It was the way he looked at me, the way he cared about making me feel good. He moved slowly, taking his time, whispering my name, telling me how incredible I felt, how much he wanted this. My body responded, arching towards him. Every nerve alert, every sensation intensified. Time seemed to blur as we moved together. Slow, perfect dance of confidence and desire. It was soft, then firm, and he was always watching me, making sure I was okay, making sure I was feeling good. And so it was, better than I ever could have imagined. My own private moments had always been fun, satisfying, but this was a whole new world. With John, it was more than just physical. It was emotional, raw, and breathtakingly real. I felt safe, desired, and alive as I never had before. My heart accelerated, my breathing shortened. And when the wave of pleasure finally hit me, it was like nothing I had ever felt before. Intense, overwhelming, perfect. We stayed there for a long time, afterward tangled between the sheets, my head resting on his chest, his constant, steady heartbeat under my ear. I felt a mixture of pure amazement and a dawning, quiet concern. "John," I whispered, "what does this mean for us?" He caressed my hair gently, his fingers tracing patterns on my scalp. "It means whatever we want it to mean, Lily," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "I care about you more than I should, maybe, but I don't regret this." Q? I thought about it, my mind still going around in circles. A part of me was deeply worried about the future, about our parents, about the secret, about the sacred limits we had just crossed. But when I looked up at him, at his soft, warm, green eyes, I felt a certainty settling deep in my soul. "Oh." I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. "I don't regret it." He smiled back, bringing me closer to him, and we stayed there with the lavender candles still flickering on the nightstand, and the dreamy music still playing softly from my phone. I had always known how to love myself. But with John, I had just discovered something new, something deeper. Something more terrifying and more beautiful than I had ever dreamed was possible. And as we let ourselves be carried away, embraced one to the other, I knew that this was just the beginning. The story continued to grow from there, not in a straight line, but in waves of shared moments, hidden secrets, and feelings that we could no longer ignore. The days after that first transformative afternoon were a whirlwind. I would wake up every morning, my body still humming with the memory of his touch, my mind mentally reviewing every word, every caress, my heart accelerating with a mixture of pure, unadulterated emotion and a deep, gnawing fear. John and I were careful. Our parents couldn't know. No one could. We looked at each other furtively during breakfast, his knee rubbing against mine under the table, causing small, secret sparks to ignite inside me. I would catch him watching me while I was reading on the sofa, a soft, complicit smile on his face, and I would smile back, remembering how his hands felt, how his voice sounded when he whispered my name in the dark. We found ways to be alone. One night, a week later, the house was silent again. Our parents were at a neighbor's barbecue, and the summer air was dense, the crickets singing their nightly chorus outside. I was in the kitchen drinking a glass of water when John approached me from behind. His hand slipped around my waist, his warm breath on my neck. "I've been thinking about you all day, Lily," he murmured, and I turned in his arms, my heart beating hard to meet his dark and intense eyes. I didn't say a word. I just leaned up and kissed him, forgetting the water as I went up in flames. His hands were everywhere, soft but firm, and I melted into him, the thrill of the forbidden making each moment more intense. Brighter, but it wasn't just the physical connection. John was different from the boys I had been with before. Those had been fun, fleeting experiments that made me smile but never truly attached themselves to me. With John, it was more. We would talk for hours afterward, lying in my bed or his, with the moonlight filtering through the window creating patterns on the sheets. He told me about his dreams, how he wanted to travel, maybe start his own business, see the world. I in turn shared my own hopes with him to finish college, to write stories, to build a life that I truly loved. We would laugh at silly domestic things like the time he burned the popcorn and activated the smoke alarm, or how I tripped over his enormous shoes in the hallway. He knew me, he knew my rarities, my fears, my joys, and I began to know him too in a way that I never imagined was possible. But the fear was always there, a constant shadow stalking the edges of our secret happiness. One night, while we were lying entangled between the sheets, I drew idle circles on his chest and whispered, "What if they find out John, Mom, and Dad? They would never understand." He pulled me closer to him, surrounding me with the solid warmth of his arms. "We will be careful, Lily," he promised. "I will never let anything hurt you. We will solve it together." His words calmed me, but the concern persisted. We were crossing fundamental limits, breaking sacred rules, and each day it seemed to get more serious, more real. However, when he would kiss me slowly and deeply, the doubts would vanish, replaced by an irresistible, intoxicating warmth. Weeks passed, becoming months, and with each passing day, our secret became more intense, more vivid, like a delicate, precious flame that we did not dare to put out. We became experts in stolen moments, sneaking out to the park just as the sun set, painted the sky in shades of purple and gold, intertwining our fingers under the canopy of the centenary trees where the world felt silent and only ours. Sometimes we would drive for miles, looking for a quiet, secluded corner next to the lake, where the water shone like scattered diamonds under the moonlight, and time itself seemed to stop while we were lost in the presence of the other. Every touch was electric, a discharge that ran through my veins and left me breathless. Every second was a risk, a dance on the verge of discovery. But the emotion, the thrill, was addictive. I couldn't, nor did I want to stop. John was everything I had not dared to wish for. He was soft in his strength, passionate in his gaze, an infinitely attentive. With him, I was not just a girl who could defend herself. I was someone appreciated, someone truly deeply valued. I had spent so much of my life loving myself with a fierce fidelity, protecting my own heart. But with John, felt something new and terrifying, a love that scared me and excited me at the same time, wild, deep, and completely, utterly absorbing. Then that rainy afternoon in August arrived. A day that still makes my heart accelerate every time I remember it. The sky was full of dark, heavy clouds, and the rain drummed softly against the window while we took refuge in his room. His laughter was a soft, warm melody, while his lips traced lazy, teasing kisses on my neck. His hands sliding under my shirt with a tenderness that warmed my skin. I was lost with my breath, cut in half, trapped in the storm that surrounded us. And suddenly, we heard the main door close with a sudden sharp bang on the ground floor. "Kids, we're home early." My mother's voice resounded, bright and clear, breaking our bubble of secrecy into a million pieces. My heart gave a violent bump, a knot tightening in my chest. Time stopped. John's gaze crossed mine fast and sharp, and he moved without a single hesitation. He grabbed my sweater from the floor and threw it over my shoulders while I eagerly tried to fix my hair to find something, anything, that seemed normal. We left his room and entered the living room just as they were coming up the stairs. I clung to a book on the sofa, pretending to be completely absorbed in its pages. John calmly let himself fall onto the sofa next to me, turning on the TV as if nothing had happened. Mom and his dad came in moments later, their steps resounding softly on the wood floor. "Hello, you two," said Mom with a cheerful voice and a relaxed smile. Avoiding your chores, I felt my cheeks burning enough to illuminate the entire room, while John limited himself to smiling with that carefree and confident smile that characterized him always. He said, and I had to bite my lip to repress the desire to laugh out loud. We were safe, for now. But the scare left me shaking in my veins for hours afterward. My mind was filled with 1,000 sharp-pointed questions. What if they had caught us? What would have happened then? But below everything, under the fear, there was something fierce and undeniable. A promise that no matter what happened, we would continue to fight for this, our secret. Our love, our wild and beautiful risk. Even so, we did not stop. In fact, the risk only intensified everything. Our secret united us stronger than any promise. A cool night under a sky sown with stars like scattered jewels. We moved away from the world, entering the countryside much beyond the splendor of the town. We found ourselves in a quiet field. One of those where the tall grass whispered under our feet and the only sound was the soft sigh of the breeze. We spread a blanket on the fresh, damp ground and we lay down next to each other. The fresh and pure air surrounding us, the vast and infinite sky above us. John's hand found mine in the darkness, his thumb tracing lazy and tender circles on my skin. His voice was just more than a whisper, warm and firm. "Lily," he said, "I have never felt like this before. You are everything to me." The weight of those words took hold of my chest, preventing me from breathing without feeling everything. Everything, my eyes filled with tears that I did not want to shed, tears of something fragile and fierce. At the same time, I turned to him, my voice barely cut in half. "I'm sorry too, but ... what do we do?" "John, this can't last forever, right?" He stayed silent for a moment, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Then he drew me towards him, the warmth of his body protecting me from the cold of the night. His lips found mine with a soft urgency that made my heart beat with force. "We will find a way," he promised, his voice full of a confidence that I so desperately needed. "I promise." As autumn approached, stealthily dyeing the world in shades of fire, gold, and amber, we became bolder without fear of the small risks that now seemed like revolutions. We kissed stealthily in dark corridors. We rubbed our hands when no one saw us, and his gaze crossed mine through the dinner table more times than I could count. Every time my pulse would accelerate when he would give me a little wink. A silent spark that crossed between us, a secret flame that was burning with an incredible force. I still loved myself. I had always done so. I knew how to enjoy my own company, how to keep myself firm by my own means. But John had opened a door that I never thought I would find, a door that led to something raw and new. Something exciting and dangerous. It was better than I had ever dreamed of. His touch was like a whispered promise, his laugh a melody that I wanted to carry with me forever. His heart wide enough to house all my fears and all my dreams. With him, I was not just moved or seen, I was undone. He carried me gently. He undressed me not only in body but also in soul, taking off the layers of doubt and fear, showing me a love that I never knew could exist. By then, the nights felt loaded, full of a silent electricity that I could not ignore. The stolen moments and the whispered secrets were no longer enough. I found myself dreaming big, daring to want for more. What if we told someone? What if we dared to leave this place behind, this town that sometimes felt like a cage, and build a new life in a new place? The idea was terrifying, like being on the edge of a precipice with the wind howling in my ears. My heart beating so fast that I was sure it was going to explode. But under that fear, a strange and fierce hope was hiding, a hope that I had not dared to feel before, and for the first time I wanted to believe in it. One night the house was unusually silent. That silence where every little sound feels stronger, every breath between us heavier. We sat on my bed close, but without touching the dim light, projecting soft shadows on the walls. My hands trembled slightly. Not out of fear, but because of the weight of all that was not said between us. I looked at him, at the way his eyes captured the light that was fading, the way his lips were separated just enough to keep a secret. My heart was filled so much that it almost hurt John. I whispered, my voice just louder than a sigh. I think I love you." The silence that followed was dense, as if the world were holding its breath with us. His eyes opened at the same time as his mouth, a flash of surprise mixed with something warmer, something deeper. Then he extended his hand slowly, as if fearing to break the fragile moment, and he caressed my face with the hands that always calmed my tremor. When his lips met mine, it was like coming home, deep and tense and real. "I love you too, Lily," he murmured against my skin in a low and confident voice. "We will solve this." somehow together. Now as I write this, almost a year has passed since that day when everything changed, the day when he caught me, the day when our lives took a turn forever. We are still a secret hidden between cautiousness and careful smiles, but deep down, we are stronger than I ever imagined. Each stealthy look, each whispered promise has brought us closer together. I don't know what the future holds for me. Questions float like restless shadows in the confines of my mind, whispering doubts that I can't always silence. Will our families ever understand the depth of what we share? Will they see beyond tradition, beyond fear? And what about the outside world? Will it ever accept us? Or will it try to separate us? These fears infiltrate the quiet hours of the night, filling the darkness with disturbing whispers that accelerate my heart. But then in those moments when John embraces me, all the noise fades away. When he embraces me strong, firm, unbreakable, I feel a peace that crosses through the chaos. When he carries me as if I were the most precious thing in the world, and he undresses not only my body, but also the carefully built walls behind which I have hidden for so long, I discover something undeniable, a ferocious and burning truth that settles in the depths of me, whispering to me that I am ready to face whatever comes. The struggle, the risk, the unknown immensity that extends before us. I have always been tremendously independent. I learned from a very young age to value myself, to love myself with fervor when no one else seemed to care. Self-sufficiency was my armor, and I used it as a shield. But with John, I have found something much greater, something wild and impressive, indomitable and beautiful. A love that not only survives, but ignites my entire world. It is chaotic, exciting, and real in a way that I never imagined possible. No matter the storms that await me, no matter the battles or the anguish, I will not let go. Because with John, I have found a place for my soul,